Hello, everyone. Today, our discussion is on globalization and social change. So, this is our class in the on modern world. Of course, this is the last class of this course. What do we mean by globalization and social change? I have uploaded lectures on Bucks, so it is all there. There is also video from the online resources, which was discussing whether globalization is impacted by the current pandemic, COVID-19. So that is a small, brief discussion, but I think it will be interesting for the students to look into it. What do we mean by globalization? So globalization, in a simple meaning, is a simple definition is interconnectedness. So how interconnected we are globally. So that is from that meaning, the term globalization has emerged. So globalization is not a new thing. Globalization is something which is very ancient. The moment people started trade with other countries through waterways, through ships, I think that was the main mode of communication, moving from one place to another in boats and ships. So globalization has been the trade in the ancient period, and also through land, the Silk Route, which we know that there were trade through the Silk Route in many Asian countries. So the globalization concept is not new at all, but it is the fourth industrial revolution. And that's the reason perhaps it is now more sophisticated and it is more can be reached the communication and the trade can be done very easily through planes, aeroplanes, and so the mode of communication is being easier. It is globalization has become is become affordable, easy, but again, there are pros and cons of globalization, as the Nobel laureate, the economist Amartya Sen, he discussed, or maybe he described globalization, whether it is a gift or whether it's a curse. And that is how the Bach's lecture and my lecture is prepared. So there are, if we consider the positive thing, it is it will be a gift to the world. Globalization is a gift to the world. But if we consider it as a curse, then it is the negative aspect of globalization we will be considering. Say, for example, with the positive aspect, it is also in your reading. We can say the positive aspect, yeah, it did bring the world closer. There is a cultural exchange, there is a trade exchange, there the exchange of goods and products. Then there's the social media, internet, where people are very quickly connected in this age of globalization. And so these are the positive sides. The outsourcing of products of industries product outsourcing to other developing countries. It is helping the developing countries. Say, for example, when a country like Sweden, which outsources its textile industry to Bangladesh and the Bangladesh garment industry. They make the finished products with the materials provided by Sweden, for example, and then the finished product that is again sold in, of course, in a high price compared to the labor cost or the compared to the money that the a Bangladeshi laborer would get from their labor. The positive side is that, of course, developing countries are getting some work and can employ the people and overseas, say, for example, the H&M, which I have recently visited a few times in Adelaide, in Australia. I picked up a couple of clothing it was written made in Bangladesh, and it really fitted me well, and it is really a very high standard of the tailoring done by the Bangladeshi garment. So I was very impressed. So these are the positive things of globalization, and then the people are getting employed through the social media. People are connected. There's a cultural interaction. People are getting to know people of other cultures. So we can include those in the positive aspect, and students can think of other aspects of globalization. Positive aspects, and with the negative aspects, of course, it can lead to exploitation. The capitalistic group of people, the industrialists, the corporates are getting benefited because they have outsourced their product, so outsourcing would be something like when a car is assembled, when a car is made, say for example, a car is built in America or made in Australia. So the products are coming from Korea, from Japan, and from China. So this is how the products are coming from overseas, and that is so this is something the finished product is in, perhaps it takes place in some cars. It can take place in Australia or in America or in Britain. So this is again a part of globalization. So we can maybe we can view it more in a positive way, because it is being assembled in a positive way, because there are this trade exchange in this matter. But again, as I said, the negative is when the developing countries get the outsourced work done on through outsourcing policy of the developing country. The developed countries are getting benefited because they can have the things done in a cheap labor from a developing country. And this is how perhaps we can say the negative side is that the developing countries, the laborers are getting very low wages of their hard labor. Then there is the climate change, the impact of climate change in globalization. As today is the 16th of September 2020, and we see in the news, we are seeing in the news for the last couple of weeks, there has been bushfire in America, in California, and it's a disastrous time people are going. It's a natural catastrophe, but the rhetoric has become it is from the climate change, and that's why these unusual things are happening very frequently, the tornadoes and the bushfires. So again, some analysts would say this is a part of globalization. There is a lot of industries, there is a lot of chemicals around, and business people are getting benefited through their capitalist policy, and their business, their corporates are getting benefited, but then again, people are, common people are suffering due to the climate change. So that's can be a negative side of globalization, if we consider the current changes that's happening in the world, the natural catastrophe, and then again there are this globalization. We can say how the group of eight, the countries, which is which they have this meetings, the big rich countries, the developed countries, the industrialized nation, when they have their international meetings, there are activists, they are against this globalization, and because it is causing the climate change, it is making the rich more richer, and the poor more poorer, so it's bringing inequality. So you will be, I'm sure you see on the TV and in the news that there are anti-globalization protests, and the police, how they try to manage it and diffuse any they act against any violence. Normally, these are the non-violent, peaceful rallies. In Bangladesh, we saw the Rana building incident in 2013, when there was this the garment factory. It had an accident and many people died. So these are the, and there was no, there wasn't any resources to deal with the situation. So these accidents happening in a developing country, again, these are the negative consequence of globalization. And with the COVID-19, the pandemic that started this year, and it has affected the globe, the entire world, including Bangladesh. And because of the COVID-19, all the many businesses are being affected. There is particularly, for example, in Australia, the borders are closed, state to state borders are closed because this pandemic is leads to transmission, so human transmission, and and it can be transmitted from one person to another, and that is why the Australian state governments are taking a lot of precaution. There have been lockdown. Even in Bangladesh, there have been lockdowns and precautions being taken. So overall, economically, the entire world is being affected. So the airlines business is being affected. It is now a question how the world will resume to the state they were before the pandemic. And there are recessions in different countries. America is facing high unemployment. Australia is facing high unemployment and recession. The globalization did make the world very close and very interconnected, but now we need to think where the impact of we need to observe how the COVID-19, the pandemic, is being affected in the entire world, which is still the COVID-19 pandemic. A threat is still continuing, and eventually what would be the impact? The direct impact has been recession, high unemployment. People have lost their jobs. There is a business, the transaction has been affected. Overall, it has affected people locally, nationally, and globally. So yeah, with this short outline of my lecture on the topic of globalization and social change. It is a very important topic, and I guess the students will be thinking about it. It's a thought-provoking process where it will lead to now, and what are the positive and negative impacts of globalization. So with this, I end my lecture, and all the best.